Hello and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This midweek episode, we will be going over a few forum posts to start off the new year. I do want to say, firstly, Happy New Year to everyone. And thank you for your patience last week. I thought I would take a small sort of break with Wednesday obviously being Christmas, and then the days after being, well, just, you know, they're kind of no one knows what happens days, is the best way to describe them. So them days are forfeit anyway. But we're going to get back to it now, and we're going to be getting out a couple episodes weekly from here on out. So thank you all very much once again for obviously respecting last week there not being an episode or two, but we will be back to it as regular scheduling now. So I want to start off with Season of Discovery, and there are a few things that I want to go over for Season of Discovery. So this guy says that raids are killing Season of Discovery just like they killed Season of Mastery. Season of Mastery? Yeah. Turns out people don't like hard raids. It's almost like someone told you this a long time ago and yet you ignored it. SOD is dying much like Season of Mastery died due to bad raids that are too hard for most players. It's like history is repeating itself because the developers can't learn from their own mistakes. Many complaint threads in this forum are about the raids being too hard. I told you so. World buffs had nothing to do with Season of Mastery failing, just like Season of Discovery. Okay, classic raids are not hard raids. Okay? The problems lie in skill issues. Genuinely. Okay? If you look at the best Mythic Plus raiding team ever, whatever it might be, Echo, Liquid, you know, many of the other higher ups are up there. These raids, they are difficult. And again, I know that you have certain abilities to compensate for the raid mechanics and stuff, but you will have abilities to compensate for raid mechanics in Season of Discovery. And the mechanics in Season of Discovery really aren't that tough. Okay, I do have to say this right now. They are quite simple. Look at Molten Core for an example. All right, Molten Core released and it had a new boss called the Molten Core. This boss essentially pulsated damage. That was it. That was the mechanic of the boss. And this is because they have certain limitations when it comes to dealing, or certain limitations when it comes to increasing the boss's mechanics within Classic, okay? AQ20, Blackwing Lair, all of these mechanics are not tough. They just aren't. It's really that simple. Okay? People blitzed, when Blackwing Lair came out, people blitzed through it within an hour on the hardest difficulty. They turned on all 3 or 4 of the affixes, which was the bronze, green, the blue, all of them dragon affixes. They turned all of them on, blitzed through it within an hour. It's not that tough, okay? Same with AQ. It got blitzed through within an hour. Cthulhu died within about an hour. You know, the longest time period that was spent was basically traveling from pack to pack, okay? Everything else was just killed so quickly and instantly that people needed to try and keep up almost. But yeah, it really isn't that tough. If you want simple mechanical raids, go and play Classic, okay? Go and spam Frostbolt at Barangeddon and have what would it be? A 2.5% chance of getting a living bomb on you so that you move out of the raid and blow up. That's it. That's the mechanic. Don't stand in shit when he pulsates fire, melees run out. If you get a living bomb, you stand to the side. That's the mechanics. Okay? How is that fun? Other than that, you are sat there spamming Frostbolt. That is your rotation. That is your, amazing rotation that you want. It just isn't fun, is it? It really, really isn't. Season of Discovery, in my opinion, has made things more interesting. That comes with the runes, that comes with the raiding stuff, that comes with everything. I think it's a lot more interesting to watch these classic raids unfold with Season of Discovery runes and sort of mastery of these runes. That's my honest opinion. It really, really is. But yeah, classic raiding is like target dummies. And even in Season of Discovery, some of them still might be to some people. This is because, like I said, there are limitations to what you can and can't do on the bosses within Classic, just because of how old the content is and stuff. So yeah, it really is a skill issue. If you cannot beat bosses in Season of Discovery, it is a massive skill issue. Most bosses have the same, if not less, mechanics than Mythic plus dungeon bosses do. And it's that simple. It really, really is. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about was something a bit more lighthearted. Phase 9 and beyond predictions. So, obviously we know that Karazhan Crypts is coming out as a dungeon, I believe, and that we have a Scarlet Monastery, well, not Scarlet Monastery, but a Scarlet Enclave raid in the lower part of the Eastern Plaguelands? Yes, East or Southeast. Yep, Eastern Plaguelands, which is really, really cool. The Scarlet Monastery stuff, really cool, by the way. I think it's some of the coolest stuff that has ever been put into the game, Scarlet Monastery. So I'm really glad that they went with that for the raid. And it was a little bit of a misdirect as well, because if you remember back at BlizzCon or whatever it was called, they teased that it was going to be Karazhan Crypts as a raid. Instead, they've done it as a dungeon, and then they've kept this Scarlet Monastery stuff completely secret. So this is amazing, and I think it's really cool. But the predictions that this guy says are Stormwind Vaults, which was going to be a thing. This is, if you know where Stockades is within Stormwind, on the opposite side to that, there is another sort of jail cell, and this one is just in the middle of the canal. You can't actually get to it. This was going to be a different dungeon or raid, and essentially it's going to be sort of like Stormwind Stockades, but bigger, badder bosses. Hopefully you have sort of maybe criminals there from, or not criminals, but like war prisoners there from maybe the Black Rocks, or, you know, orc sort of characters when they invaded like Azeroth and stuff. So from the Second War and stuff, you might have some of them, but we really don't know. I think Stormwind Vaults would be really cool. Highjow Raid is another consideration. So we obviously got Highjow in Burning Crusade, but the zone actually is there in Classic. The only problem is it isn't fully completed. There is a simple fleshed out version of it, but it is just simply not completed. So you would have to complete the entire zone, which they probably have been thinking about, to be honest. They are probably working on something like that as a new max level zone, or to even increase the level to level 65, maybe. If they increase the level, that would be really, really cool, in my honest opinion. I'm not sure how they would do it going with the raid. They would have to take the scaling into account for the raids, but I think it would be really cool, but I don't think that they will do that. I think they would just simply make Highjow as a full-on raid or dungeon in itself. The Timbermoor Hold raid. Now, a lot of people don't know about this, but in Azara, there is a giant gate, and this giant gate has no resemblance to anything. There's no quests, there's no sort of instance portals, there's no nothing. It is simply a giant gate in Azara. And people speculated that this is obviously going to be a connection between Winterspring, Timbermoor Hold, Moonglade, stuff like that. So this is actually not a bad shout, because what you can do is say that there is corruption within the Timbermoor Hold, sort of, you know, place, palace, base, whatever you want to call it. And you have to go and root out the corruption, and it is satyrs or demons or whatever it might be. So this isn't a bad shout. I think it's very cool, and it's kind of makes sense because you want a raid that is in the top right of Kalimdor. because if you have two that are in the sort of bottom central, with that being Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, you have one in the bottom left of Kalimdor, and then you have one in the very top right of Eastern Kingdoms. It makes sense that the next raid that they would put is obviously in Kalimdor in the top right. But we do know that this isn't obviously true because we're getting the Scarlet Enclave, which is in the top right of the Eastern Kingdoms. But after that, it makes sense to go and utilize that sort of area of the world because it is the least sort of cramped with bits and pieces that are happening within it. So I think that this is really cool. An Aranicus storyline. Now, this guy doesn't realize, but there technically is an Aranicus storyline in Classic WoW. And this is the Scepter of the Shifting Sands quest. The Scepter essentially takes you into Sunken Temple, and you defeat the Shade and purify the Shade of Aranicus with Malfurion, and then you defend Moonglade from Aranicus and purify him there. It's really, really cool. There's a lot of dialogue, and I'm actually quite glad that I got to be part of this, as I've never seen it before and didn't even know it existed. But I think it's really cool, and I sadly don't think that this is going to be carried on because it is already kind of in the game. And then finally, you have Grim Batol. Now, people might be thinking, but Grim Batol is a Cataclysm dungeon. Grim Batol is in the game. It is in Classic. It's in Wetlands. The only ever reason you will go to Grim Batol is for a Horde questline. And I believe that Horde questline is to get you attuned to something. I'm pretty sure it's a Nixia's lair. You go there and you talk to a certain NPC, and that is it. That is the whole point of going to Grim Batol. So yeah, you can probably do a dungeon out of this, but again, you're getting very clustered on the Eastern Kingdoms. You very much want to be going to Kalimdor to put certain content there because Kalimdor is very barren in comparison to the Eastern Kingdoms, like zones, essentially. So I think these are very good ideas. I definitely think that there could be more, but I think that, in my honest opinion, out of these ones, the Timbermoor Hold raid actually sounds the best. Genuinely, I would be so happy to try a Timbermoor Hold raid because there's so many things you could do with Azshara as a zone. You could do an entire Azshara raid, to be honest, the zone raid. Obviously, they did the Eternal Palace back in BFA, but yeah, you could definitely do a Timbermoor Hold raid, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it, in my honest opinion. Now, I want to go on to, so we go from Season of Discovery all the way through the expansions to Classic. Now, this is a very cool question, and I've never really thought about this. What class do you genuinely dislike playing? Okay, so in my honest opinion, I have never, ever found a class boring or annoying to play or anything like that until Dragonflight. Okay, what came out with Dragonflight? Evokers. For some reason, everything was pointing to me liking this class. It's a caster, like a caster DPS, a dragon. I can customize the wings, the hair, the head, the horns, the tail, everything. It's really cool. It's really dope looking, and I fucking love it. But I just hate the way that it plays, and I don't know why. It just feels so clunky, and I just cannot get my head around how to play it or what to do or just the enjoyment of it. The enjoyment of it is so lost on me. I cannot, for the life of me, have fun on that class because it's just boring. All you're doing is pressing disintegrate. That is genuinely it. This is from a PvP perspective, by the way. You are pressing disintegrate, and that is your entire rotation. If you look at anything else, yes, you have some more than others that press more abilities. Warriors, BM hunters are on the lower part of the scale, and then you look at mages, rogues, you know, them sort of classes that are on the higher sort of APMs or different ability pressing every sort of minute. So obviously these classes might stand out to you a bit more, you might enjoy them a bit less, But genuinely, what is the class that you guys have started playing and thought, yeah, no, this isn't for me. This is boring. Because I tried it. I really tried to level the Evoker. I just couldn't. And it's quite upsetting that I couldn't, because everything screams to me that I should enjoy it, but I just can't. I really can't, and I don't know why. Bad. Let me know what you guys think, though, because I think a lot of people have that one class. I definitely think people do. And it's usually the complete opposite. It's usually like, oh, I main rogue, so I hate playing affliction warlocks. You know, it feels too slow or whatever. You know, them sort of things. But yeah, some people have really weird ones because, like I said, Evoker seems like it should be a good fit for me. I like casters, and this is a caster DPS, but no, just couldn't get my head around it. And the last one that I want to end on is this. I'm going to absolutely lay into this guy, and it's going to be short and sweet. WoW is stale. Every day a stale about WoW is mad. This is literally how he's wrote it. Here is my version. I don't know what I'm doing. There's your first problem. Every new season, new expansion is just getting max gear, then question mark. So repetitive that it is stale now. Since Classic, everyone went through the levels, got to level 60, got gear, did raids, got gear. That was it. Okay? That was it. And then you created a new character, level to 60, did dungeons, got gear, did raids, got gear, and then what? You know, it's a formula that works because people like to feel like they're getting the best out of their character, and they want to play these characters. But the thing is, if you have the best gear in the game, what brings you back to these characters? Some people brought back via there being better gear because they want to complete their character, is the best way to put it. Some people enjoy their characters, obviously. I'm very much one of them. I enjoy playing Boomy. But yeah, like, some people enjoy coming back and collecting the best gear and stuff. But what do you suggest? What can there be? Oh, we need an infinite number of random time, like, generated things that allow you to get cosmetics. Okay, so let me tell you this. You level, you get your cosmetics, and then what happens? What, you level someone else and get cosmetics? No, you've already got them cosmetics. So what do you do now? So this is the best repeatable content that there is, and no MMO has ever been able to surpass it yet. Straight up. I don't think that there is an MMO out there that has done a better job at endgame than WoW. Now, I'm very biased to these sort of things. Of course I am. I would love to be told that there is, but I have not seen any yet, okay? That's just, I haven't seen it. It probably might exist out there, but I just haven't seen it, okay? Yes, WoW does get stale for people who think of it very objectively like that. But if you don't, and you think, okay, I can maybe level my mage and get some gear now, I can maybe level my warlock, monk, etc., then you won't find it stale because you're learning a new class, you're enjoying the new class and stuff like that. So that's where the non-stale part comes from. Like, yes, it's the same dungeons, yes, it's the same raids, but you're playing different classes, so you enjoy the class rather than enjoying the dungeon, if that makes sense. So it's a bit ridiculous to say that it's stale. It's 20 years old now. Well, over 20 years old. So, yeah, it's going to be stuck in 2004 in some parts, but no other MMO has managed to surpass it yet. And that is due to sort of the endgame content being quite decent and retaining some sort of player base, which is really good. But that is where I will end it for this episode. Thank you all very much for listening. Do check out all of the socials down below, constant stuff happening, as well as stuff on the Etsy shop. Multiple things being put up there. Recently put up a Frostmourne, a life-size Frostmourne, so please do check it out. It's absolutely amazing. I loved making it, and I would love it if you could show some appreciation for it. But honestly, thank you all very much for listening. Happy New Year to you all, and go Valor, friend. Goodbye all.